Alright, so last night we saw the Atlanta Hawks even up their series with the Philadelphia 76ers at 2 games apiece. Both teams decided to go and get one game on the road and one game at home. And to be completely honest, I am a little bit caught off guard by last night's result. Once I saw that the second round matchup was going to be the Sixers and the Hawks after they both handled their first round opponent pretty easily, again, I'll be honest. I wasn't really expecting the Hawks to give the Sixers much of a series, even with Joel Embiid coming in with that partially torn meniscus. And even after the Hawks won Game 1, I really wasn't expecting them to do much else. To be honest, I thought that the Sixers were going to come out and get a gentleman's sweep after that, win in 5. But now everything has changed after last night's game. With the Sixers up 2-1 in the series and then going up by 19 points in Game 4, I thought the series was on ice, and I just didn't expect the Hawks to make any more noise. I thought the series was done. I thought Sixers would clean out in 5 and await whoever wins the probably decently long, at least 6-game series in Brooklyn and Milwaukee. God, that took me a second. Philly figured out how to put their best defenders on Trae Young, and without DeAndre Hunter playing in the series, the Hawks just simply didn't have a whole lot of offensive creation outside of Trae Young. Obviously, Bogdanovich is doing his thing, but again, they seemed like they had the clamps on the Hawks and that the series was over. Even when looking at the numbers, throughout these first 4 games, Embiid's averaging 30, 13, and 4 on 59% true shooting, again despite that partially torn meniscus. Tobias Harris is continuing his great season, averaging 21, 7, and 3 on 62% true shooting percentage. Seth Curry is absolutely blazing as usual. He's at 76% true shooting percentage. Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons. I'm going to save that for another day. And you could also just point out that the Sixers wins have both been by double digits and close to 20 points, whereas both of the Hawks wins have been one possession games. So even just the disparity in the types of wins that these teams are getting against each other is very telling. But if the Hawks can capitalize on this 1-game winning streak momentum that they now have, and combine that with the fact that Danny Green is done for the series with the calf injury, I think there is a legitimate chance that we could get a decently long series out of this. Obviously, it's going at least 6 now because both teams won 2 games, but I think it could at least be a very competitive 6 or might even go 7, depending on where we go from here. Plus, anytime that we get a real opportunity at slandering the Sixers on the Twitter timeline, that is something that is always a welcome sight. But to highlight a few players on the Hawks have been playing very well, Clint Capella obviously got left off of the all-defensive teams, but is showing that he is one of the few bigs in the league that can stick with and maintain Joel Embiid for the full length of a game. As we saw in the second half of Game 4, Joel Embiid finished that with 4 points on 0 for 12 shooting, which is absolutely horrendous. Maybe the injury is playing some into that, but either way, Clint Capella deserves a lot of credit. And then John Collins has also been really fun to watch in my opinion. He's just bringing a very high level of energy that you can tell is rubbing off on the rest of the Atlanta team. He is attacking the glass both offensively and defensively. He's had some monster dunks. He's just been overall a great player, and he's a restricted free agent this offseason, and I'm going to be very intrigued to see what ends up happening with him and whatever contract he gets. But definitely the best part of this series by far has been, at least as a neutral observer, I have no dog in the fight. I'm a Celtics fan. I'm just enjoying the series for what it is. But just one thing that's been so hilarious to watch is both fan bases have star players who are known to, flop and give off certain ideas to refs that they are being fouled, even if they aren't. And the fact that both fan bases are simultaneously defending their star players when they do this while also attacking the opposing team's star player for doing this is just something that has been really funny to see unfold on the Twitter timeline. And I just get to laugh at both of them because they both sound ridiculous. But with that being said, let's get into why I am making this video. Trae Young had a great game last night despite some pretty horrid shooting, but he finished the game with 18 assists, which is absurd in a playoff game against a high-level defense like Philly. He continues to shine across his first playoff run. He's leading his team into the second round, and they actually look like they have a legit chance of potentially moving on to the conference finals, which would be awesome for Trae Young. So far in this series specifically, he's averaging 27 points and 12 assists with 1.5 steals on 56% true shooting percentage. So again, the numbers are backing up his game. He's just playing very solid overall. But getting back into the 18 assists, I wanted to just go through and break down some of the film and some of my favorite plays from last night, including or just about Trae Young's playmaking in general. Pretty much every night, Trae Young gives us a lot of memorable plays or plays that are just very well done, and last night was no different, and there was plenty to choose from. 1 minute into the game, we already see Trae Young bring the ball up the court in a semi-fast break, and he hits Clint Capella, who's cutting to the paint, with a live dribble, a lefty one-handed pass, and just in transition, he caught Joel Embiid a little bit off guard with this, just a tremendous find. And a little bit later, we see Trae working the offense, takes the screen from John Collins, and just again catches Joel Embiid a little bit out of position as he lobs it up to Clint Capella, who unfortunately couldn't finish. And this next play at the end of the first quarter was awesome. As you see, Capella sets the off-ball screen for Bogdanovic. Trae Young somehow fakes the pass to Bogdanovic with one hand and then rifles one to Clint Capella after both defenders head towards Bogdanovic. Now into the second quarter, we see Trae Young take the screen from John Collins, drives at Dwight Howard, and just completely fools him with the fake lob and then into the bounce pass for the very easy John Collins layup. And then skipping ahead to the third, we see a very similar play, except this time with Clint Capella and Joel Embiid, as Trae Young just hits Embiid with a series of ball fakes. He had Joel Embiid lost for a good majority of this game in pick and roll. Just caught him in no man's land just about every single time they ran a pick and roll, and yeah, it was interesting to watch. And then this next play was just wild all over the place. First, I was thinking, what even happened with Trae Young going up for the layup and losing the ball and no travel or jump or anything it's called. Play just goes on. But then I see Trae Young make probably the most unselfish play of his early career so far. I thought for sure he was pulling that three as soon as he got it, but he decided to pass back for an even better look. And then in the clutch, off of the John Collins offensive rebound, like I mentioned earlier, he just hit the glass so effectively, dishes out to Trae Young, and in the clutch, right after Philly makes a three, makes an absurd pass to the corner to John Collins to get the three right back. And yeah, that one got me out of my seats when watching this game live. And then this last play isn't necessarily playmaking, but in the clutch, Trae Young hits the floater, and I just wanted to say, Trae Young floaters are so back. I know during the regular season, he started missing them a bunch, and again, it's just very nice to see that Trae Young has it back in his repertoire. He's comfortable using it in late game scenarios because the floater just makes him that much deadlier when it's on. Overall though, as I stated at the start of this video, I wasn't expecting the series to be much. I thought that Philly was going to get by pretty easily. It was most likely going to be a 5, potentially maybe 6 game series, but it was going to be handled easily by Philly. But after this last win, being even at 2-2, Hawks might have a little bit of momentum. They might be able to, maybe they found something that works in this last game that they can carry on into game 5. And if they can steal a game at home from Philly, this is definitely going to be a great series.